moments of joy.
This is Channels Television. We interrupt news track to go to Kano State for live coverage of the 58th Nigerian Air Force Day celebration. Please stay with us.
Distinguished guests, you may please be seated. The special guest of honor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the parade commander, Squadron Leader A.A. Oshungbade is now marching forward to submit the parade to the special guest of honor and thereafter invite him to inspect the parade. With him is the parade commander, Squadron Leader A.A. Oshungbade, and of course the chairman organizing committee for the NAV Day 2022 anniversary, Air Commodore Abido.
Your Excellencies, distinguished honorable members, royal fathers, very senior officers, serving and retired officers, ladies and gentlemen. We have 4 guards on parade this morning, comprising of 21 officers and 209 airmen and airwomen of Nigerian Air Force. At the moment, the special guest of honor is approaching towards the guards. The inspection will commence with the number 1 guard. The special guest of honor, sir. The number 1 guard is commanded by Flight Lieutenant M. Dabo, and the Rise of Guard commander is Flight Lieutenant J. O. Mayaki, while the Left of Guard commander is Flight Lieutenant A. Abubakar, and the Guard Squadron Sergeant Major is Flight Sergeant Amin Emmanuel. The number 2 guard is commanded by Flight Lieutenant N.S. Dashi, and the Rise of Guard commander is Flight Lieutenant E.A. Eyahono, and the Left of Guard commander is Flight Lieutenant A. Suleiman. Your Excellencies, distinguished honorable members, our royal father, very senior officers, ladies and gentlemen, at the moment, the march past in slow time has just commenced. What you're watching at the moment is the Nigerian Air Force 58th anniversary parade, reaching you live from the ancient city of Kano, the center of commerce. This is part of the series of activities lined up for you to mark the 58th anniversary of Nigerian Air Force with a view to enlighten Nigerians on Nigerian Air Force efforts in fight against insurgency, terrorism, and other forms of criminality in the country. Your Excellency, the theme of the anniversary, which is enhancing Nigerian Air Force efficiency in joint operations for effective response to contemporary national security imperatives, is aimed at emphasizing renewed focus on joint military operations and effective synergy among the services and other security agencies, as well as consolidating on the gains of the employment of air power, especially at this critical stage in the nation's history. The theme is also intended with the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amawo's vision, which is to enhance and sustain critical air power capabilities prepared for joint force employment in pursuit of national security imperative.
May I, at this juncture, respectfully request the chief celebrants, the Chief of the Air Staff, to kindly request the guests of honor to please proceed to the saluting dice ahead of the #1 guard for the traditional salutes. Once again, may I highlight that in accordance with the honors accorded colors, distinguished guests are please requested to rise when the colors march past their respective locations. Serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are to please salute and take their seats when the colors move away from their respective locations. Thank you.
Excellency, the special guest of honor, sir, approaching the saluting dais now is the parade commander, squadron leader A.O. Shubandi. Is leading the rest of the parade. We have the #1 guard now at the saluting dice. It's commanded by Flight Lieutenant M. Dabu, while the right sub-guard commander is Flight Lieutenant J. Omayaki, and the left sub-guard commander is Flight Lieutenant E. Kubaka. And Guard Squadron Sergeant Major is Flight Sergeant Ame Emmanuel. At the saluting dice now is the #2 guard, commanded by Flight Lieutenant Enes Dashi. The right sub-guard commander is Flight Lieutenant E. Yahono. The left sub-guard commander is Flight Lieutenant A. Suleiman, with Guard Squadron Sergeant Major Flight Sergeant Ojitron. The fellow party is comprised of the ensign to the National Colo, Flight Lieutenant A. Sabu. We have the ensign to the Nigerian Air Force Colo, Flight Lieutenant A.S. Ajayi. The ensign to the Tactical Air Command Colo, Flight Lieutenant S.O.T. Justin, and ensign to the Special Operations Command Colo, Flight Lieutenant U.O. Momo. At the saluting dice now is the #3 guard, commanded by Flight Lieutenant G.D. P.D. Jacob. We have the right sub-guard commander, Flight Lieutenant E.U. Adeleke, and the left sub-guard commander, Flight Lieutenant S.A. Adamu, and the Guard Squadron Sergeant Major, Flight Sergeant Isa Samuel. At the saluting dice now we have the #4 guard, commanded by Flight Lieutenant A.R. Alassan. The right sub-guard commander of #4 guard is Flight Lieutenant G.C. Eminaki. And the left sub-guard commander is Flight Lieutenant H. Barrow, and the Guard Squadron Sergeant Major is Flight Sergeant Jonathan Brigade. It might also interest the special guest of honor to know that the #4 guard is made up of all female personnel. The guard and the sub-guard commanders are all female Nigerian Air Force personnel from Air Intelligence Specialty. This is an indication of how gallant and ready, willing, and able the Air Force personnel are. Your Excellency, sir. So far, a series of activities and pre-event activities that took place simultaneously at Nigerian Airforce unit across the country. These activities include Jumat prayers and interdenominational church services, medical outreaches to host communities across the country, while the Nigerian Airport Officers' Wives Association, NAFOA, embarked on humanitarian support activities to some selected communities in Kano State. This was geared towards winning the consent and support, as well as appreciating Nigerians for their support and goodwill over the years.
Your Excellency, the special guest of honor. So far the parade has been in the slow time mode. Any moment from now, the parade will be transiting from slow time to quick time. It promises to be a very distinguished and notable spectacle. And there goes the transition from slow time to quick time. A round of applause. This is indeed very spectacular, very wonderful. It shows a force that is active, a force that is unique, a force that works and trains together. This is not magic. It is a force that is regimentally sound. The Nigerian Air Force, always willing, able, ready. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the parade has just changed into quick time. This is done in fast pace, accompanied by the swinging of hands. Let me once again remind this distinguished audience that as the colors march towards the location where you are sitting, you are please requested to rise as a mark of respect. Serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are requested to salute. Your Excellency, sir, you will agree with me that a high level of discipline is required to maintain perfect dressing and correct steps during march past in quick time that these officers and men are performing right now. This parade is one of the packages lined up for your entertainment this morning. It will also demonstrate the dynamism of the Nigerian Air Force as an organization as well as a fighting force. Our distinguished audience, shall we please appreciate the team of drill instructors and the parade coordinator, Wing Commander A.K. Yahaya, that groomed these officers and men of the Nigerian Air Force towards producing this spectacular performance with a round of an applause. For the benefits of our great guests who were not here earlier, let me add here that a guard of this contest be far from the truth if we use the beauty of today's parade as a testimony of the high level of discipline imparted into the officers, airmen, and airwomen of the Nigerian Air Force. Excellent. A round of applause for the Guards on Parade for an excellent display of unity and excellent halting at this time.
The special guest of honor, sir. At the moment, the parade commander is dressing the main body of the parade in preparations for the next proceeding, which is the silent drill. The special guest of honor, sir, very senior officers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. What you are witnessing at the moment is the silent drill squad marching on to the parade ground for the silent drill demonstration. Historically, the silent drill, also known as Double Squad 64, was a tradition of the Queen's Kano Squadron. The squadron was the custodian of the Queen's Kano in the Royal Air Force. In silent drill, each airman is expected to memorize over 200 movements. Silent drill, as the name implies, is carried out without voice command. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this beautiful demonstration of silent drill. As we'll be witnessing from time to time, the silent drill squad will be forming formations. At the moment, the silent drill is forming the extended line formation. The extended line formation is formed when officers or officer in charge of a patrol team or any parade want to know his men through their names and faces, and also ensure that they are fully ready to carry out their task or mission. The extended line formation is a standard tactical formation which was used in early modern warfare. At the moment, we can see the silent drill scored. Marching forward to make the next formation. The next formation utilized by silent drill is the combat box formation. The combat box formation is used in Asian battles to protect heavy bombers against fighters' attack. It is formed in close order, usually when threatened with heavy attack. It's also useful in tackling tactical problems without confusion. The Asian formation also provides the best frontage for the volley fire, while sacrificing maneuverability and defense. It enables maximum firepower as it is useful when attacking an enemy position. The box formation is also to enable the use of fire and movement. This is an educative drill indeed, as it helps us to know the different formations that can be applied when faced with an attack. The formation you are witnessing now is the aggressive routine or moral drill formation. This drill is a formation done through performing a unique precision drill exhibition, showing that the highly disciplined soldiers are professionals and are ready to carry out their attacks, and also show their aggressiveness by boosting their morals through thinking morals and charging through themselves. It is outstanding that well-trained, disciplined, and dedicated soldiers accomplish their mission, even in the midst of fear, death, physical deprivation, that is, food, water, rest, and others are as an enemy, determined to fight back. Military training must therefore continue to be soldiers who are forward in thinking, innovative, and aggressive, both in understanding how warfare is evolving. The aggressive morals is centered in boosting the morals of soldiers to face their fears and overcome it. This is indeed a great concept. Please, may we have another round of applause for the Silent Drill School. The special guest of honor, sir, at the moment. The formation we are witnessing is the sunflower formation. This formation, the name was given to this formation to the dispatch of German troops to North in February 1951 during the Second World War, using aggressive to defend tactics to carry out their mission. The tactics was adopted too is for reinforcement and to destroy the enemy forces. This formation was adopted. This formation requires strict discipline and simple movement practice. In the uniqueness of this formation, soldiers have been able to conquer a lot of war. The soldiers, through their display, are willing, able, and ready because they are already trained for the future. At the moment, we can see the silent school forming up to make the next formation. This formation is named Arrowhead Formation. It's a unique fighting formation utilized by peasant bowmen of Britannia. It is designed to enable as many bowmen as possible to concentrate their withering fire upon the enemy. It is used to move across open ground by providing maximum security to the front and rear. Arrowhead is a defensive formation designed to withstand an enemy's assault. It is usually used to move across an open ground by providing maximum security to the front and rear. It is easier to communicate with the section as it gives all-round protection. The guest of honor, sir, at the moment, we are witnessing the all-round defense or inner-outer cordon. This formation is done in a box formation. It can also be in a circular formation, which are to give military units and sub-units the ability to repel an attack from any direction by being organized or sighted for. Comprising the silent drills code, we have 40 men and 46 female of the Nigerian Air Force. Please may we put our hands together once again for the silent drill school for this spectacular display. Your Excellency, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the silent drill school has just formed up now at 58. Looking from the left, we can see the N, A, and F making the nav, then A and T making the arch, then 5-8. Shall we please give them another resounding round of applause?
This formation is better appreciated from the aerial perspective.
May we please have another resounding applause for this spectacular display. The guest of honor, sir, any moment from now, we expect the silent drill school to march forward and take permission from the guest of honor to march off the parade ground. Your Excellency, the special guest of honor, sir, that is the presentation of arm as a sign and mark of respect to the guest of honor and seeking his permission to retire back to their position. That concludes the end of the silent drill code. Please may we once again put our hands together for these gallant airmen and airwomen for this spectacular performance. Thank you.
Your Excellency, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, next on the program is the fly past. May I, at this point, hand over the microphone to Squadron Leader KC Nwagba to anchor the fly past session.
President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness a beautiful aerial display from one of the best and extensively tested air forces in this region of the world, and I mean the Nigerian Air Force. For the best experience, I'll start by giving you a brief description of the display area using the clock hand method. When I say 12 o'clock, I will be referring to the area directly in front of you, while 9 o'clock will be 90 degrees to your left, and 3 o'clock will be 90 degrees to your right. Therefore, 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock will be around the left side of the runway from your sitting position. Today's display will be performed by few of the helicopters and fighter aircraft in the Nigerian Air Force inventory, as several others are currently deployed for operations in various theaters across the country. The aircraft performing today will be the Mi-35 and Mi-171 helicopters, followed by the Super Mushak aircraft, then the A-29 Super Tucano. We would also witness displays by the L-39 aircraft, the Alpha Jet, and then the most recent aircraft in the Nigerian Air Force inventory, the JF-17 aircraft. These aircraft shall be flown by one of the boldest and most experienced pilots in the world, who have operated in one of the toughest theaters of operations, and yet they continue to stand very strong. Our distinguished audience, as part of Air Force to make you understand the operations of your country's Air Force, I'll give you a brief description of the formation types you will be seeing today. At this point, before then, I request you to look in the 10 o'clock direction for the Mi-35 and Mi-171 helicopters in the Skyhawk formation. Distinguished guests, I'm sure you agree with me that from the fierce and unfriendly look of the helicopters, you will agree that those helicopters were indeed manufactured to bring quick judgments upon the enemies of our dear country, Nigeria. In the lead aircraft today is Squadron Leader I.U. Yusuf and Flying Officer A.A. Sadiq, while Squadron Leader N.C. Okorie and Flying Officer Ekwenea in the number 2 aircraft. Then Squadron Leader R. Chukwumalime and Flying Officer P.N. Ono are in the 3rd aircraft. The lead aircraft you can see to your 12 o'clock is repositioning at this time for the chaff flare maneuver. The chaff flare is a countermeasure used by military aircraft to evade missile attack by enemy aircraft. While we await the return of the aircraft, I would like to inform you that the immediate past Chief of Air Staff, retired Air Marshal S.B. Abubakar, as well as the current Chief of Defense Policy and Plans, Air Vice Marshal Jola Simi, and the Chief of Policy and Plans, Nigerian Air Force Air Vice Marshal A.O. Owo, have flown various variants of the MI helicopters. Ladies and gentlemen, look in your 10 o'clock direction. That is the Mi-35 helicopter executing the chaff flare, beautifully executed by the lead Mi-35M. May I request that you give a round of applause for that beautiful display by the Mi-35M. The next formation for today will be the shark formation. Once again, I request you to look in the 10 o'clock high direction for the arrival of the shark formation. The formation will be made up of 3 Super Shark helicopters employed as a basic trainer for the Nigerian Airforce pilots in 401 Flying Training School in Kaduna. This aircraft is certified to perform all basic aerobatic maneuvers. Ladies and gentlemen, in your 10 o'clock high position is the shark formation. The formation just flew past you in the echelon right, and as you can see, it has just reformed to the Vic formation for a maneuver called the Lazy 8 maneuver. The lead aircraft is flown by Squadron Leader YY Ambi and one of the Nigerian Air Force female fighter pilots, Flying Officer K.O. Sani. While the number 2 aircraft is flown by Flight Lieutenant A.A. Dairo and Flight Lieutenant N.A. Bosse. The number 3 aircraft is flown by Squadron Leader I.A. Ayuba and Flight Lieutenant K.T. Alao. Distinguished guests, in your 10 o'clock, the shark formation, they've just completed the Lazy 8 maneuver. And shortly, the shark formation will overfly the VIP stand from the 11 o'clock position for salutation as it departs the training area. Distinguished guests, to your 10 o'clock high position again is the shark formation, turning towards the display stand to overfly as it salutes to the audience. By the shark formation, may I request a round of applause for that wonderful display. Distinguished guests, the next formation will be the Phantom formation. The Phantom formation will be composed of 3 Super Tucano aircraft. The Super Tucano, inducted into the Nigerian Air Force in 2021, is a light attack aircraft manufactured by Sierra Nevada Corporation of United States of America and its partner, Embraer Defense and Security Company of Brazil. The Super Tucano has performed exceptionally well so far in combat operations across various theaters in our dear country, Nigeria. The Super Tucano is the most reliable and cost-effective solution for basic and advanced flight and combat training, close air support operations, and counter-insurgency scenarios. No wonder about 15 countries have adopted the A-29 aircraft for operations. Distinguished guests, your 10 o'clock is the Phantom formation. Pilots gracefully hanging and showing a high level of experience will perform the lazy 8 maneuver again, just like the shark formation, maintaining Vic formation. The Phantom formation is led by Wing Commander K.N. Igwebe and Flight Lieutenant E.E. Apan. The number 2 aircraft is flown by Flight Lieutenant O.N. Smith, while the number 3 is flown by Flight Lieutenant F.I. Oga. Distinguished guests, that's the lazy 8 maneuver by the Phantom formation. The lazy 8 maneuver consists of 2 turns of 180 degrees in opposite directions to trace the figure 8, along with a climb and descent during the turn. The maneuver, which would also be performed by several other aircraft yet to come, is used to demonstrate the pilot's mastery of the aircraft in maximum performance situations. The A-29 Super Kano is capable of carrying 70mm high explosive guided and unguided rockets, the Mach 81 and Mach 82 unguided bombs, laser guided bombs, and .50 caliber cannons to support the fight against counterinsurgency in Nigeria. The A-29 has just completed the lazy 8 maneuver in Vic formation, and the pilots have departed the display area to now reposition for a 3-second pitch-out maneuver, which will be performed right in front of us at the display area. May I once again request you to focus in the 10 o'clock direction in anticipation of the return of the A-29 Super Tucano aircraft for the 3-second pitch-out maneuver. While we await the return of the aircraft, may I also inform you that the Super Tucano aircraft is very versatile, and it is built for light attack combat with powerful turbo engines, making it appropriate for counterinsurgency in Nigeria. The aircraft is known for its rugged design, which allows it to perform from unimproved runways and at forward operating bases. Distinguished guests, and that was the first pitch out by the number 1 aircraft, now the number 2 aircraft, and finally the number 3 aircraft in the second pitch out. Once again, may I request a round of applause for that beautiful display by the Phantom formation. Next formation will be the Cobra formation. Once again, I request you to fix your gaze at the 10 o'clock high position in anticipation of the arrival of the Cobra formation. The Cobra will be a formation of 2 L-39ZA aircraft, nicknamed the Albatross. The L-39 is a 2-seat aircraft powered by a single turbojet engine. The aircraft was manufactured by Aero Vodochovich of Czech Republic, and it was inducted into the Nigerian Air Force in November 1986. Distinguished guests, the Cobra formation to your 12 o'clock. The Cobra formation just passed in the finger left position, and the Cobra will maintain this formation and perform the lazy 8 maneuver. The two-ship formation is led by Squadron Leader A.M. Onalaja and Squadron Leader J. Apiabu, while the number 2 aircraft is flown by Squadron Leader U.S. Brown and Flight Lieutenant C.C. Obiaho. And that's the Cobra formation beautifully executing the Lazy 8 maneuver, showing a high level of experience and skill of the Nigerian Air Force pilots. After the Lazy 8 maneuver, the formation will reform to close trail, and in this case, rather than flying side by side, the aircraft will now be in a straight line with the number 2 aircraft positioned behind the lead. Distinguished guests, I believe you must be impressed by the beautiful conduct of the maneuver, with both aircrafts precisely maintaining their positions. The crew have a combined total flying hours of over 9,000 hours, with over 6,000 flying hours on the L-39ZA aircraft. The home base of the Cobras is the 403 Flying Training School in Kano, and the home of the Cobras is the host for this year's Nigerian Air Force Day celebration. Distinguished guests, I'm pleased to inform you that the most notable trainee in the service is the current Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal I.O. Amao, Air Marshal I.O. Amao, who was a member of Basic Flying Course 11. In addition to the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Amao, other notable persons who have flown the L-39 aircraft are the Commandant, Armed Forces Resettlement Center, Air Vice Marshal I.G. Lubo, the Chief of Training and Operations, Air Vice Marshal J.A. Yusuf, the Director of Operations, Air Vice Marshal N.N. Ananaba, the Chief of Staff, Tactical Air Command, Air Vice Marshal P.N. Ananaba. That was a famous maneuver by the Cobra formation. I request a round of applause for that beautiful maneuver by the Cobra formation. Distinguished guests, the next formation will be the aggressor formation. The aggressor formation will be composed of 3 Alpha Jet aircraft in VIC formation. The Alpha Jets were manufactured by Donia Dassault Company from Germany and France, respectively. The aircraft, which was manufactured in 1978, was inducted into the Nigerian Air Force in 1982, barely 5 years after it was manufactured. The Alpha Jet is an advanced trainer and light attack aircraft which has been used effectively in operations. Distinguished guests, your 10 o'clock is the aggressor formation. The formation is currently executing a Lazy 8 maneuver in VIC, and thereafter it will reform to trail for another Lazy 8 maneuver. Distinguished guests, I'm pleased to inform you once again that the Alpha Jet is the last of series of aircrafts which the current Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Amao has flown in the Nigerian Air Force. In the lead aircraft is Squadron Leader Sunday, while in the number 2 aircraft is Flight Lieutenant M.M. Shalangwa and Flight Lieutenant S.I. Usman. The number 3 aircraft is flown by Flight Lieutenant M. Salami and Flight Lieutenant A.K. Galadanchi. Distinguished guests, to your 12 o'clock once again is the aggressor formation, maintaining the VIG formation. Distinguished guests, may I inform you that the Alpha Jet was very active in Sierra Leone and Liberia during the ECOMOG operations. And you may also recall that the Alpha Jet was instrumental to the restoration of democracy in the Gambia in 2014. The total flying hours since its inception is 25,000 hours. And among several veterans who have flown the Alpha Jet are also the Commandant of the Armed Forces Resettlement Center, Air Vice Marshal I.G. Lubo, the current Chief of Training and Operations, Air Vice Marshal J.A. Yusuf, Air Vice Marshal C.N. Chukwu, retired, Air Vice Marshal E.R. retired, Air Vice Marshal Gunto Ibo, retired, Air Vice Marshal Okoye, retired, also known as Skipper Joe. Now the Alpha Jet has reformed to the trail, and they are once again conducting another Lazy 8 maneuver. After the Lazy 8 maneuver, the Alpha Jet will come overhead once again to conduct the bomb bust, just like the Cobras which departed before them. May I humbly request you to look in the 12 o'clock direction again in anticipation of the bomb bust by the Alpha Jet. Distinguished guests, the Alpha Jet has been the frontline combat aircraft of the Nigerian Air Force, and it has been employed both in combat, and that's the bomb bust maneuver by the Alpha Jets of the Nigerian Air Force. And it was that wonderful display. The last formation for today's display is the Thunder formation, composed of 3 JF-17 aircrafts. As I mentioned earlier, the JF-17 is the most recent aircraft in the Nigerian Air Force inventory, and it was inducted in 2021. The JF-17 was manufactured by a joint venture between Pakistan Aeronautical Complex and Chengdu Aircraft Industries of China. May I once again request you to look in the 10 o'clock direction in anticipation of the JF-17 aircraft. The aircraft is a 4.5 generation supersonic fighter aircraft which possesses excellent air-to-air and air-to-surface capabilities. It has state-of-the-art avionics, The JF-17 aircraft here at 10 o'clock. The lead aircraft is flown by Squadron Leader AA Odwala, while the number 2 aircraft is flown by Squadron Leader AS Abatuba. The number 3 aircraft is flown by Squadron Leader S. Musa. Distinguished guests, may I inform you that most of the aircraft in Nigerian Air Force inventory today, out of which you have watched some display, were purchased during this current administration led by our dear President Muhammadu Buhari. Some of these aircrafts include the 3 JF-17 aircraft which you just saw, 12 Super Tucano aircrafts, 10 Super Mushak aircrafts, 2 Mi-171 aircrafts, 5 Mi-35Ms, and 4 Augusta 109 Power. There have also been major upgrades to older aircrafts in our inventory. Once again, may I request a sound round of applause for these achievements by this administration. The JF-17 can undertake close air supports, precise strikes with laser-guided bombs and smart kits. The aircraft can also undertake armed recce, combat air patrols, armed escorts, and maritime support operations. The JF-17 has an average supersonic speed of 1,960 kilometers per hour, which is equivalent to 1.6 times the speed of sound. The JF-17 has 7 hardpoints upon which several munitions, including beyond visual range missiles, can be mounted. Distinguished guests, here 12 o'clock, the JF-17 coming in for the bomb bus maneuver. May I request a round of applause? That's displayed on the JF-17. The lead aircraft will return for an afterburner pass, which will showcase the speed of the aircraft to you. As I mentioned, the speed of the JF-17 aircraft is about 1,960 kilometers per hour, which you will see when the lead aircraft returns for the afterburner pass. At this time, I request you to look in the 2 o'clock direction in anticipation of the arrival of the JF-17. And when the aircraft passes, I urge you to focus on its tail for the red-hot afterburner flames, which you will observe. The induction of the JF-17 and distinguished guests, and that's the JF-17 aircraft. On the tail of the JF-17 aircraft. May I request a round of applause for that thunderous display by the JF-17 aircraft. The Commander-in-Chief, distinguished guests, the afterburner pass marks the end of the aerial display. I hope that with the beautiful display, Nigerian Air Force has been able to restate its commitment towards resecuring our dear nation, Nigeria. It is indeed a happy anniversary for the Air Force, and we remain willing, able, and ready.
Your Excellency, the special guests of honor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, May I request a resounding round of applause for the Nigerian Air Force and our very wonderful pilots who took part in the aerial display just concluded. Any moment from now, the parade would resume its initial formation in preparation for the advance and review order. After the review order, we will be having the address by the special guest of honor. But before we take the advance and review order, we will be watching a 5-minute video clip Any moment from now, the parade would march in review order.
Where they want them? Are they in front?
They're in front already.
For that wonderful brisk halting by the guards. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'll now encourage us to watch the 5-minute video clip on the display. Thank you. Happy viewing. This clip showcases the Nigerian Air Force at 58.
We are the Nigerian Air Force. We are the Nigerian Air Force. For 58 years, you have heard our story. From a humble beginning and by sheer determination and grit, we have over the years continued to wax strong and become one of the most formidable air forces on the African continent. You are aware of our modest role in the Nigerian Civil War. Our contributions to past and ongoing internal security operations, peacekeeping and humanitarian operations in the Gambia, Mozambique, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, and Guinea-Bissau. You think you understand why we have been so successful? Let me tell you a secret. The key to a success story is not only because of our aircraft and weapon systems. It is our dedicated team of airmen and airwomen and the immeasurable support we receive from all Nigerians. Our spirit, our passion, our love for country. We are an air force of the Nigerian people. Hausas, Igbos, Yorubas, Ijaws, Thieves, Nupes, Biroms, Ibibios, Muslims, Christians, all Nigerians. We are defending our homes. We are protecting our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers, our neighbors, our friends. For us, no place is too far. No mission is too complicated. We always get a job done. When our commissioned and enlisted airmen and airwomen take the oath of allegiance, they pledge, if need be, to sacrifice their lives for Nigeria. We, the men and women in blue, commissioned and non-commissioned officers, are ever ready to take any risk to ensure the survival of Nigeria. It is an honor to be charged with this responsibility. We stand on the shoulders of giants who came before us, our founding fathers who started with nothing and built a powerful Nigerian Air Force that is feared by its enemies and respected by its peers. We are proud to serve and protect all Nigerians. We are proud to provide security to all Nigerians and confident that our best days are ahead of us. One thing is also certain. We shall win the war, and good will soon prevail over evil. Together with sister services and other security agencies, we remain focused, determined, and unrelenting in our quest for victory. We are the Nigerian Air Force, and we remain ever willing, able, and ready. Now you know the secret. Happy 58th anniversary to us. Confident that our best days are ahead of us. One thing is also certain. We shall win the war, and good will soon prevail over evil. Together with sister services and other security agencies, we remain focused, determined, and unrelenting in our quest for victory. We are the Nigerian Air Force, and we remain ever willing, able, and ready. Now you know the secret. Happy 58th anniversary to us.
May I request another resounding round of applause for this short clip. It is interesting to note that in all of the clip, no mention was made of the Chief of the Air Staff. This indeed is a testimony of a leader that believes in doing it and not being praised for what he does, but the results. May I request a resounding round of applause for the Chief of the Air Staff. At this juncture, may I respectfully request the Chief of the Air Staff to invite the special guest of honor, Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, to deliver his address. The Chief of the Air Staff.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Kano State, members of the National Assembly, the Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense Staff, service chiefs and representatives of the Inspector General of Police, Your Royal Highness the Emir of Garai, and other royal fathers present here, senior government officials, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here to facilitate with you on the Nigerian Air Force 58th anniversary celebration. This is particularly because the Nigerian Air Force has over these 58 years transformed to a formidable and resilient Air Force that is positioned to effectively tackle both contemporary and future security challenges. This adaptability has thus enabled the service to respond effectively to our dynamic national security challenges. The Nigerian Air Force has been able to meet with constitutional responsibilities, thereby justifying the government's enormous support in the last 7 years. I therefore congratulate the Chief of Air Staff, officers, airmen, and airwomen, as well as civilian staff of the Nigerian Air Force on this occasion of the 58th anniversary. On the assumption of office in 2015, I promised to equip and re-professionalize our armed forces to perform their constitutional responsibilities more effectively. We have therefore demonstrated the required political will and leadership, as well as committed resources towards capacity building and re-professionalizing of the armed forces. Today, I can say confidently that the armed forces have indeed witnessed tremendous improvement in the past 7 years. In particular, the provision of modern equipment and personnel motivation through enhanced welfare are also ongoing. Clearly, sustaining a service like the Nigerian Air Force that drives its potency from technological assets is a capital-intensive responsibility. This administration acquired new air platforms for the Nigerian Air Force, such as the JF-17 Thunder multi-role fighter aircraft, the A-29 Super Kano aircraft, the Mi-35M and Augusta 109A helicopter gunships, as well as unmanned aerial systems, among others. I am glad to reiterate that these huge investments in the capacity development of the Nigerian Air Force have helped to turn the tide against terrorists and other violent non-state actors in our nation. In furtherance of our drive to continue to modernize the armed forces, we will continue to do more to support the Air Force. To this end, we have approved the procurement of more platforms, such as the Beechcraft, some modern helicopter gunships, and UAV for the Nigerian Air Force to enable it to man our airspace more effectively. Rest assured that as a government, we are willing to do even more to ensure the provision of the requisite support and encouragement to overcome various security challenges. Let me seize this opportunity to commend the Honorable Minister of Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, the service chiefs, as well as the leadership of all our security agencies for doing their jobs well. As I have directed, you need to continue in order to collectively do more towards restoring peace and order in all parts of the country. I want to assure you that your sacrifices are well appreciated by Nigerians, and this government will not rest until peace and stability are fully restored to our nation. I I therefore urge you all to remain committed, steadfast, and resolute as we forge ahead to achieving a secure, peaceful, and more prosperous Nigeria. As we celebrate the Nigerian Air Force at 58, let me once again congratulate and commend the Chief of Air Staff, officers, airmen and airwomen, and civilian staff of the Air Force for the good work they are doing to support the government's defense and security policies. I commend, most importantly, the high level of discipline, loyalty to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and your support of democratic values. We sincerely appreciate your service to the nation. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and God bless the Nigerian Air Force. Thank you.
It was the three other chairs. Any moment from now, my request will rise for the national anthem. May we please rise. The parade commander, squadron leader A.A. Osungbade is now marching forward to obtain permission from the special guest of honor to march off the colors and the rest of the parade. Permission granted. Any moment from now, the colors will march off and...
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I announce that the distinguished dignitaries that will accompany the special guest of honor for the inspection of R&D as well as group photograph. We have the governor of Kano State, the representative of the Senate President, Senator Bala Ibn Nahala, the representative of Speaker House of Reps, Honorable Jimmy Benson, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs, reps of the representative of Minister of Aviation, Director, Airforce, Ministry of Defense, former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Oluseyi Petinrin, retired, former Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal M.D. Umar, retired. May I once again reiterate that these very distinguished guests are to accompany the special guest of honor for inspection of research and development, as well as group photograph.
May I please request that we rise as the color is being marched off. Serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are to please salute. Thank you. May we please rise. Any moment from now, the parade second in command will be obtaining permission to march up the rest of the guards from the parade commander. This will bring to an end the formal aspect of today's ceremony, which is the parade.
As we can see, the parade second in command and other guards and sub-guards commanders are taking post to march off the main body of the parade, to be led by the Nigerian Airforce Band. A distinguished guests, His Excellency and other dignitaries have gone for a group photograph, after which we'll have R&D exhibition, as well as photo gallery that will display recent achievements in research and development, as well as some historical pictures of the Nigerian Air Force.
Katamat. Come on, stand here. Carry, look at the match. This on this. See, normally we are supposed to play national anthem. We are playing.
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh? See, go on. Go there now, go garage. Go garage.